Hey, YouTubers, subscribers, or people just passing through, welcome to the permission statement. I was having a conversation with a longtime friend of mine and comrade. Um, he made a good point. He says, "Hey, are you going to get into chronological order at some point?" I just want to let y'all know I'm new to this. I'm getting a microphone to get rid of like background noise from the fish tank pump and things like that. I'm setting up lighting. I'm gonna get some cool background pictures. Like I said, these pictures are significant. That's my brother Michael Cardenas that passed away in Afghanistan. I'll be telling his story. That's Michael Mudo. That's one of the young men that I was in California Youth Authority with. It was his story is crazy. Him and three other men, young men, boys at 14, were coached and coerced by this woman with drugs and sex to murder her husband so she could get life insurance money in San Diego, and he received juvenile life as a result. And he and I were in youth authority at Fred C. Nellis School for Boys. So I'm gonna get into the story. So this all my background. There's my platoon, the Wolfpack, Third Platoon, Alpha Company, 2-2 Infantry. Um, there's the Unicrest. So I'm getting it. I'm getting it dialed in. I'm learning how to do this. I'm just here to speak extemporaneously, so I'll get better over time. Sometimes I'll have to go back and do edits. So chronological order will surely be something important at some point, but right now I'm just that guy with the afro. You remember the old painter guy who put up a couple bushes over here and we're gonna put a few clouds? I'm giving y'all the filler detail so that when I show y'all or when I express my premise, there's some there's some substantiating evidence and proof. Because I get it. People are going to come on here. There's hyperbole and just flat out lies or whatever. So I want to make sure that those who watch my videos feel confident that this is the truth. And there are going to be people here that were actually there and know these people and understand exactly what I'm talking about. And those maybe who know me and what my intent here is. I'm not here to glorify any ugliness or anything like that. The permission statement should speak for itself. It's all these life experiences that I went through as a result of escaping violence as a child here in Napa, that I went to San Diego of all places and was catapulted into this just like this life experience that expanded to even more life experience when I went to Europe and everything and the chaos. So ending up back here in Napa to bring and to raise a family here, as opposed to in the cradle of chaos, should I call it? I guess the reason why and why I'm so enthusiastic and so adamant that all these life experiences should be focal points, front and center, when it comes to the decision making process right now on how my son is influenced, our son, and why both myself and the respondent in this matter, we have so much life experiences apart, together, while we've been raising a family, that should be part of the decision making process for what goes on in front of my son and his future. We have a responsibility to factor all that, and it doesn't seem like that's happening. And actors are being brought in. And when I say actors, I don't mean people, theatrical actors, actors of dishonest behavior. I said fraud on one, but the legal definition of fraud doesn't necessarily line up because money involved or whatever. So I say an untruth or dishonesty. So there's actors of dishonesty and untruths coming up in here on behalf of the respondents. So you don't have a whole lot of time in the courtroom to dial things in. I'm pro se, improper, self-represented litigant, so I'm kind of stuck in this by myself. For the last 7 months, I've been up battling against Gregory C. Winter, but it's not just him and it's not just her. She's very interwoven into Napa County here, and I'm going to go into all that and show y'all so you can see. So it at least begs the question, because I know that I have to be ginger. And like I say, I want to support my premise or my position that it's reasonable to at least beg the question as to how all this is happening. What's the connection between these people? Why is a mediator on a first name basis with the respondent in mediation? Why is she calling the mediator by her first name? And why does she jump on me but not on her? I found that to be odd. And I'm going to explain how Napa Empowering Women's Services, where she used to work, and the people involved, and who the few people that are coming in here and discharging this dishonesty, who are they connected to, and what's their hands are all up in this too. But they want to come in and play. Let's bring the truth out for everybody, right? So I'm going to continue on with the stories, and I hope you have enough tolerance and patience to watch the videos. As I'm going to give you guys a lot of details of the story. There's a lot of murders and kidnappings and all this stuff that went on that I have no desire to hang out with them kind of people. You know what I mean? I didn't move 525 miles away from the chaos or the belly of the beast to come up here to raise my son in a peaceful environment, or what should be peaceful, only to make bonds and friendship with people that want to do that on a micro level. There's the macro, I guess you would say, with the big city, and the micro and the small city. So why would we move away from that and then gravitate towards them same kind of people? No. So I was telling y'all about my father-in-law. His name was Alberto Corchon. He was kidnapped, tortured, and murdered by the Arellano Felix cartel, AFO, Tijuana cartel, call it whatever you want. The people that ran the frontera, that was fought for and still being fought for right now. From what I'm told, there's like 3 organizations. You got the Jalisco cartel. You got the Arellano, what's left of the Arellano Felix cartel, and then of course the Sinaloa cartel. They're all jockeying for it, because you may have drugs all over here, but the doorway to America is going to be fought for, because having that doorway is going to be crucial. And so as a result of San Diego and so many other towns being on those borders, there's an overflow of all that violence and that chaos, and it sucks people in. And I'm going to explain the difference in Los Angeles and some of the other cities in California as opposed to San Diego. So my father, I'm going to go through all these different circumstances. Say, I'm not here to glorify. I'm just, once y'all hear these stories, you understand, like, man, fuck no, I don't want my son anywhere near any of these people or any of that stuff. And that should have been resonating with my spouse. But it doesn't. So Tatiana, Tat Money, was my first wife when I was in the Army. Like I said, I was deployed. She stayed with Tony Lorena. I met them later on with, Amsterdam, Germany. Coming back to San Diego, I met, we'll call her Angelica, which that's her name, but I'm not going to say her last name, because she's out there. She got a family. She's a content contributor and everything. She's doing wonderful. She got her life squared away. When I tell you all about my friends, my guy friends, that when I ran away from home up here and went down there and bumped into these different groups and established a brotherhood and a friendship with this graffiti crew, and then my friends had female friends of like female crew. So Tat Money, my wife, one of the girls in her crew was Angelica, and Angelica was very close with my first wife's father, the one that was murdered. And her story, when they were young, teenager, just like Mariana's, she got wrapped up in chaos in Mexico. So if you're in San Diego, a lot of people go down to TJ. They'll go down there to go party, the Revolution, Rosarito. You go to Puerto Nuevo, eat lobster and all this stuff, right? So a lot of young kids will go down there and they'll party it up. And Angelica went down there with her friends, and there was guys, there was girls, and I don't know where this other dude came from, how he got put into the mix, but the story was explained to me that... Now, another thing. So, if you know what Rohypnol is, or Roofies, or Rochas, Rochas was the brand name of the, I don't know if the pharmaceutical company or whatever, they produce these things called Rohypnol. People called those pingas in San Diego, and those were actually a recreational. People would voluntarily take them and consume alcohol to get like whoop whoop whoop. But those are often used by predatory people that are trying to drop a Mickey on somebody and trying to get something that they probably could not get without the Mickey being dropped. So a lot of people engaged in what they call rocha consumption back in the 90s and 2000s and everything, and it caused a lot of chaos. But she was down there partying or whatever. She passed out, I'm assuming on the rochas. I don't know if he slipped it to her, she took it, whatever. And her friends left her at this house down in Mexico. I think it was Rosarito, somewhere around there, and took off. And she woke up and this guy was raping her, and she's a teenager. And so she pushed him off. When her friends came back, from what I'm told, they whacked this dude, right? And either the same day or the next day, the police came busting in, and according to her, the Mexican police held her hostage for days, and they were raping her and putting guns to her head and threatening to kill her and everything. And this is a teenage little girl. So that activating event set off a cycle of substance abuse for her, right? So later on, she got into meth as a result, trying to cope with the pain. I always ask people, when they either abuse alcohol or drugs, what's the purpose? Are they quelling pain? Are they just anatomically addicted, from the addiction euphoria? Or did something happen? Are they trying to dull something out? So I knew Angelica, and you could tell she was hurt, man. She was hurt, and she's a good kid, but she was able to get it dialed in later on in life. She's a content contributor, but a lot of stuff happened in between that. So now when I tell you about when I was rolling around in Tijuana with my friend, we ain't friends no more, but he was the one I was rolling around with. He owned businesses down there. I kind of grew up around him. Angelica's boyfriend was a good friend of mine. We were from the same graffiti action. Well, I had already retired at that point, but that's how we knew each other. We were comrades. Longtime friends. California Conservation Corps. I brought them up to Napa from San Diego, and yada yada yada. We've been through a lot together, and that became his girlfriend. And that's when I met her, roughly around 2004. And at that time, I worked for TC Construction Company, which is known construction company in San Diego out of Santee. And those people that I had told y'all about, they grew up in Indonesia. Their parents were CFOs and CIOs and different, upper echelon executives at these major corporations. One of them was Alexander Cozy, cool dude, and he lived over there on 26th and Imperial too. So you had the icons in one loft, large loft with multiple icons in there. Then the adjacent loft that had a connection was all these folks either going to school or working in the loft next door on 26th and Imperial. And one of them was Alexander Cozy, and he worked for a company called Marcus Evans. That's a London-based business information company that specializes in dissemination of business information. They would hold a North American CFO summit. It's essentially a corporate dating service where they get CIOs, CFOs, CEOs at these events, and they sit down, they meet with each other, they get a Rolodex for all these other different people to establish more business within their industry, right? So he was leaving that company to start his own company, and so he's like, yo, he had a lot of love for me, and I still have a lot of love for him. He's doing it big elsewhere right now. He runs his own company that's global, and so he said, look, I'm gonna leave this company. Trevor Marney is a divisional director of delicate acquisition. He's like, I'm going to train you every day. So after I come home from my construction job, he would come home from Marcus Evans. He would sit down with me and teach me all the stuff that I would need to know. Because remember, I don't have a college education in that field. But he's like, I'm going to teach you all this, and I'm going to set you up for you to take my position. And so he did that every day. He expended the energy and the time and the resources to teach me this job, right? And so I went and I sat down, did the interview with Trevor Marney. He's up in Canada right now. He was a divisional director, and I got in. So I started learning that job, and so now I was excited too, because I'm not doing construction no more, 100-pound jackhammer. I'm in a suit and tie, and I'm doing, wow, it was a really cool transition. But I realized that I was out of my element, and so I was coming home from work one day. Now, hold on, let me put a pin in this one right quick. So that individual that I was rolling around with in TJ, that that how I when I met Tony and Lowe and everything, um, he had found himself in a spot of trouble. Might have owed some people some money, um, and there was an incident that took place on 26th and Imperial, and him and his brother were taken into custody. They weren't doing anything or nothing like that. It was crazy. We were just happened to be walking out of there, and wrong place, wrong time. But it was a result of his brother getting in a fight in a club downtown, which I'll explain to you later. He's been murdered since then. I'm going to get into that as well. But they were both shipped out, and well, taken into custody. And ergo, him owing somebody money, then people wanted their money, right? These people were down in Mexico. So they send somebody, two guys, to get Angelica. She was walking to the store. So they hold her and they're like, hey, we need to speak to we'll call him Lucky. His name, that's not his name, but we'll give him a name, Lucky, right? Where's Lucky? I don't know. We need to talk to Lucky so we could go talk to this dude's baby's mama, take her car, etc., because we're owed money. And she's like, yeah, nope. And they held her for a good while. And remember, I'm suit and tie and everything. I wasn't there when all this stuff happened. The whole time he was in the house with his mom. And she was just, no, I said they held her for hours. And then eventually they were like, hey, we're not going to hurt him. We just want to know some information. And she said, you're not going to hurt him? No. Well, he's in the house. And so they immediately get out of the car, leave her and go into the house, kick in the front door, punch him in the face. His mother's sitting on the couch, and there's always a 9mm Makarov right there. She grabs that Makarov and just starts getting off, right? But it's a Makarov, so she doesn't know how to take it off safety. But she's squeezing that trigger at these dudes. These two gangsters run out of the house, and they're running around the yard being chased around by an old lady with this 9mm Makarov. And they run out of the yard, they leave, and maybe 7 minutes later, not very long thereafter, I was just driving by to say, hey, Angelica and Lucky, how you doing? That's not his name, but like I said, we'll call him that. And he was holding his eye. It was swollen. I was like, what happened? Did Angelica smack you around or something? What's going on? Just a joke. And he's like, no, some guys just kicked in my door because they were looking for that other fella. And I was like, what? So we went looking for these guys. We couldn't find him. We end up at 7-Eleven in the parking lot, and his phone rings. And the guy who was owed the money that sent these two dudes, he's like, hey, hey, things happen the way they happen. I need to talk to dude's wife, take their car, blah, 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 whatever. And, like, why did you send these people to my house, man? I have nothing to do with this. And, interestingly enough, the dude that made that phone call out of Mexico, him and 3 dudes were all sitting in the car in Tijuana, like within a week of that happened, and they were all killed. Somebody shot up that car with them in it. So I don't know if it was the result of what they did or of the result of them, or maybe they owed somebody and they were put into a corner. Or I don't know if it was by them sending these dudes to my friend's house that was viewed as, not that he would send somebody. He doesn't have that kind of power or clout. But who knows? Maybe the person that they owed the money had the clout. I don't know. I don't know who killed them in TJ, but all I know is that dude who was on the phone and called after sending this person, him's dead. Him and 3 other people got killed. So I don't know if they got killed just for sitting next to him or if they were part of it or whatever. I don't know. But that's just how crazy stuff can get in this crazy diaspora, where that individual who owed that money got these Angelica and Lucky wrapped up in this chaos. And then there's those accusations by other folks that there was a trap set for the brother of my friend where he was lured down to TJ in Mexico, and he foolishly, after having left living in New York for years, came back and tried, perhaps out of desperation. I don't know what his motivations were, but he walked himself down into his own death trap. And Angelica being held and all the suffrage of what she went through, substance abuse and everything, just trying to get through all that, it's excessive. So there was a circle of people that her family lived around there And there was a couple incidents that led to another murder, so which I'll dip more into that. I got to go to work, got to pay the bills. But these stories that I'm telling y'all, these are true stories. And these are people, many of them were good people that were fighting substance abuse, just trying to get ahead in life, but were trapped in this circular, self-destructive logic. I don't know what else to call it, because it sounds like it's lacking logic, but I don't know if you know what the argument of circular logic is. That if you're trying to tell somebody, okay, hey, let's fix this problem, let's do this, and they're just talking it back to the beginning of it, so that they're, like I said, the wheel is spinning in place rather than a ball in motion moving forward. It's spinning. There's a lot of activity, but it's just slipping in the mud and staying still. And a lot of that has to do with comfort. I honestly feel that the city of San Diego itself is addictive. It has addictive properties because of the wonderful weather and all the, the gas lamp, the excitement, international border, the beaches, because people come from other places. There's a lot of drugs in San Diego. It's international border. There's high potency drugs. There's cheap drugs. So I've seen people come from other places, from all kinds of walks of life, all kinds of, dispositions and how you say, races and everything. There's no one specific race that is not susceptible to what can happen in San Diego as far as getting turned out. And people come for the military, they come for college, and they end up staying and moving their people there. That's how addictive it is. But it can also be addiction to people who grow up there. Somebody can grow up in La Jolla and never come across all this stuff that I'm explaining to you, as opposed to somebody could be smack dab in the middle of it and have no desire, but still somehow you'll get gravitated towards. So San Diego is ironic and unique like that at the same time. And we'll dip further into that. I got to get to work. Thank you for spending time with me here. I still got a whole lot more to tell you. Like I said, I'm not here to glorify it. I'm trying to paint the little clouds up there and that little bush down over here in the corner, like the guy with the afro, so that when I get more into detail here about what's happening here in Napa and the corruption, the chaos, and the things that I shouldn't have to do as a parent, when my counterpart is a social worker for child welfare services who's been through all this chaos herself. I shouldn't have to be. You're going to hear I'm going to read y'all all the police reports and all this stuff from the chaos that she went through. There should be no argument in this. We're talking about our son, and he needs not be anywhere near any of this stuff. He deserves a better opportunity than we had. All the wonderful things that we can provide and protection from all that chaos. And I'm determined. And if that means, well, it looks like it means that I have to go to these great lengths, because this I probably shouldn't have to do. But I'm up against more than just one person. She's interwoven with her associations for Napa Empowering Women's Services to Napa County, and there's a dissemination of people into multiple positions, and then there's a hierarchy, and they know those people, and potentially Napa County has an interest in protecting their own image by trying to keep all this stuff under wraps. But how is that protecting my child? I care about my son. I'm not a politician. I'm not Gregory C. Winter. I'm not a hired legal gun that gets a bunch of money off of this. I'm here to protect my son, and I will. And if I have to make sure everybody in America knows this story and what's going on right here, so be it. That's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make. But my son deserves to not be influenced or convinced that any of that stuff in any kind of way is some kind of attractive lifestyle. No. That's chaos and suffering and pain. And I can't tell him all that stuff, but I have a responsibility as his father, and so does his mother, that we let him know, like, no, that stuff is no good. That's hurt and that's pain, son, and we want better for you. But I kind of feel like I'm alone in that endeavor. But y'all have a good day.